Alright, Blasianaires and Blasianettes, there's gonna be some spoilers in this review, as always. You know, if you have not seen the episode, go get caught up and get up off this video. This is your last warning. When these fingers disappear, spoilers are gonna flood. Get out of here. Now, okay, first off, so there's no mentioning of Barry's experience with going to Earth 3 to Supergirl's, Earth. There's no mentionings of that, at least not yet anyway. And it's like he's right back to being vengeful and trying to get faster to go after Zoom. It seems like that was good for him to get his mind off of that for a little bit. Like when he accidentally ended up in Supergirl's universe, but it seems like it seems like this time he has to go back. He has to travel back in time now to last year, back in season 1, when Harley was the villain of of that episode. He has to travel back to that time and try to convince Reverse Flash Eobard Thawne, in the disguise of Harrison Wells, to help him get faster. And that is probably a very, 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 very dangerous route, considering that his plan is to go back and knock him, his past self out, and that goes, that ends up being difficult because because his past self sees him, and it turns into this quick fight, where he's outrunning him and then trying to grab him and then grab the syringe and whatnot, and then he eventually knocks out his past self, and then he goes back to Star Labs, and then tries to tiptoe around everybody and not try to leave any indication that he's from the future. But eventually, good old Eobard Thawne figured it out, and he's like, "Okay, where are you from? Who are you?" And and it's funny how he threatens him with with his hand vibrating, and then he doesn't even flinch. He just looks at him like, what the fuck? And oh gosh, a lot happens in this episode, and while he on his way there, some time wraith or whatever follows him there, and it's funny because he did travel back in the past before. Remember when even the season 1 finale? This is the first time he went back in the past tense. This is the first time he's done something. Went back that far since the season 1 finale, when he went back to a time when he was a kid. When his mom was killed, and he was about to go ahead and mess that time up. But it's weird because Reverse Flash convinced him to go and do it. But in this one, and then when he went back in time in this episode, now he's telling him okay, you shouldn't have done that. You shouldn't have came back to this time, and now this rave is behind us, and then you're just gonna mess everything up for us, and there's gonna be no point in me teaching you anything. Which is really weird because he can, he's saying, okay, go back in time, save your mom, and then in this time he's saying, no, you shouldn't have came back to this time. I find it pretty weird that these time wraiths never shown up before, because he did travel in the past before, and he almost fucked up the timeline, and right when this is like a no-buy-in episode, because you're like, oh, something's gonna happen that could potentially mess up the timeline, and then past Barry shows up, and he's like, where's me? And then they see each other, and then Barry's cover is blown. Where Team Flash of season 1's Team Flash is like, wait, what? What? And so eventually Barry gets back to his time, but Ah, man. I mean, and he didn't tell them that he's Reverse Flash, so he left that alone. He left that alone. But, um, uh, makes you wonder what times, like, what has been compromised, what has fucked up. I mean, and when he goes back to his time, the time rape is close to killing him. It's like it's devouring. It's almost like it's devouring his soul, and he's looking, really wrinkly and everything. And then Hartley comes out of nowhere and saves him. I'm like, wait a minute, what? Aren't you a bad guy? What? And and then all of a sudden they're friends, and he's Team Flash now. He's a good guy now. Totally random. I mean, I don't remember coming across any indication that he was going to become a good guy. No, not once. But my biggest gripe with this episode is that there was no mentionings of, his experience going to Supergirl's Earth, Supergirl's universe. I'm not saying he's supposed to come back all happy and hunky dory. Guess what, guys? I met an alien. But I figured they would have mentioned that, like, what was it like? Like where they would say, what was it like over there? Like where they have a brief conversation about it, and then jumps right to the the plot of this episode, and so he got what he came for when he went with the data on how to get faster, and then I guess we'll just have to see what happens from there on out. And we're on another break. I mean, like, we just got back. I mean, this show just got back from its hiatus. I mean, you know how the CW does it. Some networks take more than one break. The CW is really good for that. So this isn't AMC where it takes like one break, per season. Like in the middle of the season. You know what I mean? So I'm not surprised, but I thought we would at least get another episode next week, and then it would go on its hiatus after that. But oh well. This episode gets I say 3. Well, I mean, not on a negative standpoint, but it gets 3.5 stars out of 5. So 1, 2, 3.5. But yeah, that's my. I think that's my biggest issue is that they didn't have a brief conversation about him visiting Supergirl's world, and and the time rapes are totally random. I'm like, where were they before? Because this isn't the first time Barry time traveled, like that far back. You know what I mean, to the past. But I dare say that I understand the time traveling, the time travel element in this show way better than in Heroes Reborn, and it's much better written on this show than it is on Heroes Reborn. I dare say that because that show is all kinds of fucked up with the time traveling. Like, wait, what? What does that mean? When did this happen? When did that happen? What? And a lot of fans of that show were mad at me for being confused, but I don't give a fuck. I mean, like, the Flash does it better. The time traveling is way better on this show than it was on Heroes Reborn. So, leave your comments down below. What did you think of this episode? And were you disappointed that they didn't mention anything that happened, yesterday from Supergirl? I'm not angry. I mean, I'm just kind of bummed, or I find it's a little off, like as if that never happened. You know what I mean? So, yeah. So, if you enjoyed my review of this episode, thumb up the video. Make sure you click subscribe if you're new to the channel. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out, y'all.